Go ahead. It's all you.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Georgia Kazimias.
Allison Kaufman.
I'm Emily Eberth. And I'm Molly Hartup. So what do you think of when you hear Schwabel's Bread or Handel's Ice Cream? What about Olive Arms? How about the Warner Brothers? Well, I'm sure you've all realized that these are examples of contributors in the history of Youngstown. People who have made a difference in our community and perhaps even society. So what about you? What impact will you make? Take a moment and reflect. What are your dreams for the future? Well, I'm sure you'll agree with all of us that in order to make a difference in the future, it's important to understand where we've come from. Know our past, understand our roots. And that's where our project comes in. More than a mural, history lives in the city of you. When our team started talking and brainstorming to come up with our ideas for a project, we thought, what can we do to really showcase our pride? The majority of us are from Youngstown, but we all live here now. We are maybe raising families, grew up here, go to school, work. We just have incredible pride and passion for this area. We've seen just a recent rebirth. We love this place, and we thought, what can we do to really showcase that? So we created this project. As it states, more than a mural. Obviously, there is a mural component to it, which Georgia will explain here in a little bit. But I first wanted to explain just a few things. We have a sample rendering of what it might look like and how this mural itself shows some different people, places, and things that have made a contribution to Youngstown in a variety of categories. We do have some examples stated up here, which you can certainly review, but this is by no means an exhaustive list. We did consult with a local history expert to help kind of fill in the gaps and work to get a really diverse representation of individuals, places, companies, things of that nature. But we're more than open to adapting it as we would go forward in this process. We also should point out that we really felt that this should be all individuals, particularly who are no longer with us, that their contributions have actually been completely done in the past. With the idea of then being able to put yourself into the city of you in a couple of different interactive ways, and then think about the future, your future, the future for your family, and how you might make a difference. So we came up with a couple of different ways that we might be able to actually interact with this project. Georgia will explain the mural itself here and the concept behind the art. But I wanted to just point out the two interactive elements that we think make it so much more than a mural and just a living, breathing way to appreciate our history, but also think about our tomorrow and our future. And the first major way to do that is, as you see here on the rendering with the mural placed on the side of the building, in the City of You logo, you can see the O a little bit. That's actually a mirror. It's an outdoor, rugged, quality mirror that would allow visitors to the mural to be able to put themselves into the City of You. Think about the future, put themselves in the company of such greatness that has come before them. Take selfies, which people love to do these days, of course. Use the hashtag, share it widely. Embrace social media to help tell Youngstown's story. So that's one major way, which we'll go into a little bit more detail later. The second major way that this is interactive is an interactive website. The likeness of the mural would actually be more or less created into a homepage of a website with clickable links to learn more about the various elements that are highlighted. So it would be very much an educational tool for locals and visitors alike. So again, we hope that it would educate, allow for interaction, and engage people just as a way to, again, highlight our past and think about the future and all the impacts that everyone has the opportunity to make.
Hello again. When designing this mural, I didn't want to just portray one vision of Youngstown, my vision. I didn't want to exclude the possibility of collaboration, an act of working with others that can yield a better result than working alone. And so I designed a mural that needs other artists' contributions to be complete. The subject of the mural, an androgynous African-American child, is the single largest human being displayed on the mural, representing Youngstown's future and hope for a better tomorrow. Yet without knowing our past, we cannot build on its future. That child's act of blowing bubbles of Youngstown's history represents how this integration of our history will be integral to building our tomorrow. There will be 6 bubbles in total, one bubble depicting art, another law and politics, sports, community and culture, industry, and lastly, foods. And I just have another sample rendering, although it's very small here, This is a sample rendering of art and a sample rendering of food. And, you know, in this one I just drew the famous Snap the Whip from the Butler's permanent collection, a Puddler poet from the 19th century, Michael McGovern, who also worked in the steel mills and was an immigrant. And lastly, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the 1970s and 1980s rock band star Dennis Sosnowski from Left End. And then over here I just put, you know, a rendering of Handel's, The Golden Dawn, and just various pizzas, because everyone knows Youngstown has the best pizza on. And so 7 artists will be commissioned in total, 6 different artists for each bubble, and then 1 artist for the cityscape that frames the lower part of the mural. And we will again look for talented and experienced muralists to commission, and I will be the 8th artist painting the child. And we will give them, of course, artistic freedom over the style and the content, and we'll encourage their own particular styles, so that, again, this won't just be one style of art, but we will place an emphasis on diversity, wanting not just, you know, the people who have made the history books to necessarily be represented, but for them to dig deeper into Youngstown's history and uncover those people who might not have been represented in the past. In addition, again, the most interactive section of the mural will be the City of U logo with a mirror in place of the O, and it will be framed like in the lower section of the mural so that people can easily take selfies with it. And this will do 2 things, right? It will allow a motivation, a reason to come back to the mural even though you might have already gone to it once. So people will keep on coming back to maybe take selfies. And secondly, everyone loves to post selfies online, and we will promote this hashtag City of You so we can create more of an awareness. And in total, we are hoping that this might become a tourist attraction to people coming to Youngstown as well. And just overall, the mural's main themes are diversity and history so that we can build a better tomorrow in Youngstown. Thank you.
So a ton of monies in cities is spent on things that isolate. They're not spent on things that promote community. We put armrests in the middle of benches. We put more parking spaces in. We put up no loitering signs. This is going to be the most boring part of this presentation when I talk to you about our budget. But I want to go through the details so you can see our intention in putting money towards collective spaces, community engagement, and not things that continue to isolate. I'm going to also look at my paper a lot so I don't get the numbers wrong, so excuse me for that. The $20,000 is broken down in a pretty straightforward way, with the largest portion of money going to stipends of $1,000 each to the 7 artists. A formal call for mural artists will be made. We just saw a recent one put out by Land Studio that will model probably the formal call chosen after that. These mural artists, like Georgia said, we'd like to be culturally representative and community-minded, but also talented and be able to do a good job on the mural. These artists will be responsible for a portion of the mural, but will be managed by a concept manager who will also receive a $1,000 stipend. This $8,000 to artists is money that is being funneled back into the community, supporting creativity and creating a vibrant community space. In terms of supplies and materials, we have $5,800 that's been budgeted for paint and supplies. $200 additional is budgeted for an outdoor 3-foot by 5-foot mirror. This quote was provided to us with installation from Youngstown Mirror and Glass. An additional $1,000 is being set aside for a potential decking or a platform to allow people to look into the mirror depending on kind of the arrangement of the mural on the brick wall. $3,000 is put aside for contracting someone to build us an interactive website. That is not a talent we have, so we'll have to pay someone to do that. And then finally, 5 $400 stipends are set aside as stipends for the project leadership team. The distribution of our funds prioritizes money being spent on features that will last over time and benefit the community, but also money being spent that we don't have to touch again and doesn't need money to continue to maintain the project. So there is emphasis put on quality design, but also sustainability.
So to tie things all together, I'd like to talk to you about the themes that we've identified and how this fits into the INPLACE project. We've identified our project as representing 2 themes, actually, that tie very strongly together, and those are technology and wayfinding. So in terms of technology, we've already mentioned that we want to have a website that goes along with the mural. And so the website is going to do a couple different things. One is it's basically, as you can see, our little depiction here, the main part of the website will be just a picture of the mural itself. And so people will be able to go see the mural and then see that we have this website associated with it so that they can learn more about all of the different people, places, and things that are depicted in the mural itself. And when they go to the website, they'll be able to click on the different aspects to learn more about those people, places, and things. And so when they click on those links, they'll be taken to static pages that will give them the history of those people and those places and things. So for example, they can click on a picture of Mill Creek Park and learn about how it was founded and what it's all about. There's also some other things that we'd like to do with the website because this is a project where we are talking about history but also our future, and so we want people to know what's going on presently in the city as well. So along with the picture of the mural where they can learn about the past, we want them to also know about our present. And so we will have links to different current Youngstown websites and lists of events and things that they can engage in the city today. There's also things that we can do. Obviously, technology is always growing, and there's lots of opportunities that we can take advantage of through social media, as people have mentioned already, with hashtags and Twitter and Facebook, posting pictures, taking selfies. And we also think that the website could potentially be a place where people can also share their own stories of how they remember some of the things that we've depicted. Maybe they were related to some of these people that we've depicted. Maybe they had their own personal stories of how they have experienced these things themselves. And so we think that that's also a possibility with the website, that people could put their own personal stories in there. So that's the technology aspect, but also ties very strongly into the wayfinding theme. The mural is one large wayfinding tool. It's going to highlight the things in the city that we want people to know about. That's exactly what it's there for. We have a lot of pride and passion in our city, and we want to draw those things out, and we want visitors to the city and residents of the city to remember these things and how much impact they've had on all of our lives. And so it's one giant tool for wayfinding, not only in its place on the wall downtown, but also through the website. We envision it becoming kind of like a Youngstown to-do list. And so when people come to the website, not only are they going to learn about the history of Youngstown, but along with the historical aspect, we want to also link to how people can experience those things right now. And so when they click on, for example, Olive Arms, they will not only find out about her personal history, but also be directed to the Arms Museum to go and take a tour. When they click on a picture of the penalty flag, they'll learn that not only the history of how it came to be, but did you know that you can actually see one of the original penalty flags in Stambaugh Stadium? And so we envision this becoming, like I said, like a checklist or to-do list of the city where people can click on all these different things, learn about the history, but also experience it and go around. It's a great educational tool for families, for residents, for visitors to learn about our city. And so just to end, I hope that you can all see that we have so much pride and passion in Youngstown, as we've all mentioned. Whether we grew up here or moved here, I hear so many stories about people just falling in love with the city. It's an amazing place to be. There's so many wonderful things and wonderful people that come out of this place, and we want everybody to experience that sees our mural. And so we just hope that people are able to use the mural as a way to learn more about the city, to generate some pride, and hopefully, especially through the mirror, be able to place themselves not only in the history, but also in the future of Youngstown, the city of you. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay. If you have any questions, we can answer those as well.
Questions?
Can you talk a little bit about what each of your roles
Our roles?
is in the...
Sure.
Or background.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. You want to start?
Sure. Well, professionally, I work for the university in university events, but I've been, part of the community. I was one of the born and raised categories, and I originally, kind of talked with these folks, said, hey, do you want to do this? Like, I didn't have an idea per se. I had a few little, snippets of ideas, but I just thought, how cool would it be to work with a team of your choosing, who has passion for the city, is really how it started to that end. So we all kind of came together, brought some of our individual ideas, and it just kind of evolved into, a larger project that somehow, looking back, it seems like it's been a while now, but all of our individual ideas fed into this one project. So it took some sort of, component of each of ours. As to how we divided it, gosh, I'm not even sure. It's kind of been a blur. I mean, it's just been a natural evolving process. It's been sort of were organic from the beginning. You guys can fill in the blanks better than I can, but I can at least tell you maybe how it started.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit about my background. I'm the only newbie to Youngstown, so I relocated from the Cleveland area in May and work at the university. I came for a job at the university. But my dissertation focused on place attachment and racial identity and history. So these kind of merge, I think, in terms of where my passion is and where I see the importance of history in terms of understanding your identity. I think that kind of plays out in it. I just wanted to make friends. That's why I did this, and it was a great opportunity to work with some people and kind of build into that. But yeah.
And I also work at Youngstown State in the College of STEM as an outreach and scholarship coordinator. Born and raised here in Youngstown, and just creatively, I think it was a very organic process, honestly, the way that we all came together, and Allison's input was really interesting with being new to the area, in combination with mine and Molly's being here, for our entire life, and so that perspective, I think, came together really well.
And I'm a YSU student. I'm currently a senior, and I'm not in Bliss, actually. I'm a double major in English studies and Spanish with a minor in religious studies, so I'm very humanity focused. But I'm also a film photographer and artist, and I've been doing art ever since I was younger. And I was contacted to be the designer of this mural, which struck me at the time as something that I felt overwhelmed by that idea. But I think looking at what we've done and how we've designed it, I feel very passionately towards this, and so I would like to continue. If we receive the grant, I would be the project manager. So that's my role, my background.
We should also add that we do have a fifth team member, Amy Costantino, who is the director of the Honors College, who actually helped us find Georgia. She has a family obligation, was not able to be here today, but she made the connection, and Georgia joined our team at the point that we had a little bit of an idea formed.
And I also would like to add, we completely forgot about this, but seeing as I'm a Spanish major, if we receive this grant, I would like to have a bilingual website, because there's a huge Puerto Rican community in Youngstown that I don't think many people are aware of this community, and I don't think this community is brought in enough into the city's involvement. So I would be also heading with the Spanish department a bilingual version of the website.
Another thing we forgot, we wanted to include a time-lapse video as part of the time-lapse video. Right. I really want to see it being created. So.
Right. So each time that somebody goes out and works on the mural, I'll just bring my DSLR tripod and we'll just make a time-lapse, and we'll be releasing it on our website, and then we'll have the whole thing on our website when the website and the mural is complete. But even through social media, as the mural is being completed, people can check in on what's happening.
Did that sort of answer your question?
We got sidetracked.
Yeah, sorry.
Just to clarify, where would this mural go?
Right.
I
I think that was my job.
Okay.
Go for it.
We have identified a potential site on Federal Street, 107 West Federal Street. It's a building owned by a property management company that James Sutman owns. Project team lead Dominic Marchionda has discussed this concept with him, and he is supportive of the idea, though it wasn't one of the original named spaces in the guidebook. We're certainly open to moving it if needed, but we really like the space. Excuse me. We walked downtown after lunch one day, looked at some sites, and we just really fell in love with that spot because it was just such an open area. There's a city of water department parking lot in the middle, but it creates this open space that you could really see the mural kind of from afar. The Court of Appeals is on the other side of the open space, so we chose the nice red brick, and in hopes that he would continue to be amenable to us adding the mural to his building.
Cool. Anyone else?
Can you guys just say a little bit more about the 7 artists and the selection process? And just, if you've thought that through,
Yeah, we have a little bit, and I can speak to it a little bit, and then I think Georgia probably can too. But we did just see, this past week, we saw kind of a model from Land Studio in Cleveland that was doing a call for artists for sculpture and artist piece that seemed like something, if we were chosen, that we would model. They had a 250-mile radius for their artists, but also they had to submit portfolios to make sure it was a certain quality, and then submit to the overall concept of the project. So there was a level of selection process that would be selected by our team, but primarily Georgia as the person who would oversee the concept of it.
Right, and I think if we were to get this grant and I were to be leading it, I would want like interviews, so Skype interviews, and then maybe a brief, statement of why they would want to do this, and then I wouldn't just want to be on the I just wouldn't want to be the person selecting them, so hopefully we could recruit some other people involved in the art community, and so it could be a group decision process. We would have various criteria through which to judge the muralists.
So if, I just want to make sure I understand, so each artist is assigned a focus that you guys have already listed.
Right.
So someone will get Stambaugh, or someone will get...
They're more in themes, and so the way that our process worked was we identified by working with a local history expert and just our own experience with the city, we identified some things that we thought would be great to highlight. And then when Georgia came up with the idea of the bubbles, that's when we went through our list and basically created these themes for the different bubbles. And so each artist would get a theme and then a list, I think, of potential things to highlight that we would vet. And so we would, we're open to suggestions on those as well, because we obviously don't know everything. But we would give them a list of things that we would want them to portray in their bubble, and then it'd be up to them to come up with that concept.
Or could portray.
Or could,
yeah,
could portray. It wouldn't have to be all of it.
But they would have art or culture, community, or politics based on.
So you'd be willing to consider a selection that would involve some diversity?
Oh, yes.
What I'm finding to be odd is that
Absolutely.
there's this African-American girl blowing bubbles, but then from what you guys were saying, I didn't get anything connecting to the African-American community.
I think because we're still in the process of developing a full list.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
and keep in mind too that we chose because identity matters, right? And so I thought it was important to include an African American androgynous, so genderless child in this, because from my own experiences as a YSU student, just a quick fact: Youngstown, the city, is comprised of 50% African American and 50% white, roughly, right? Of course, we have like our Hispanics and other. We have like a small Korean enclave, but then if you look at the university, which is my kind of focus group, or my focus with designing this mural, we have 90% of YSU students are white, and we have 10% of students African American, and then when we actually look at retaining those students, the numbers just go down. Like YSU has a problem with retaining African American students, and so African Americans aren't graduating. So my thought wasn't I didn't want to politicize this, but I wanted to have somebody that the African American students, all the way from kindergarten to in college can look downtown and they can see an identity marker that they can feel, in line with, and feel like, okay, I'm represented here, and hopefully that will, help this problem that YSU's facing of retention and, having people even attend college to begin with. So that was my specific social justice point with having an African American child. But then when you come to the bubbles, again, the idea of just having diversity of style. So if somebody is an abstract muralist, or somebody wants to use spray paint, or whatever they would like to do, again, we would just give them that list of specific people, and then from there, they would have the job of designing their specific bubble.
And also, you guys don't know yet who your web designer is, or is that?
We met with one group we met with one organization to do it, to get an idea price-wise of it, but they are not by any means people we would go with. But we did meet with someone to describe the concept to them to see kind of price line. But no, we wouldn't have that set yet.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
We got to move on.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
All right.